Welcome to the Huddle Within podcast, where we go beyond the surface to uncover the real impact of sports on our lives, whether it's lessons of resilience, the passion that fuels us, or the stories that connect us all. This is where the game gets personal. I am Daniel, a regular sports fan just like you, and together we'll explore what sports truly means beyond the surface. So step right into the huddle and let's get into it.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Huddle Within podcast. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in to another episode. This week, we're going through all the latest sporting news once again. Every week, we bring out the latest news and talk about all the updates in basically all the sports I follow. So the normal NFL, NBA, AFL, EPL, and much, much more. But again, it's been an honor putting this podcast out for you every single week. And if you do enjoy it, feel free to leave 5 stars wherever you do get your podcasts. And yeah, continuing to support me is just well appreciated and hope that can continue moving forward. Feel free to also interact in the comments, leave what you want to listen to and what you prefer. And obviously we'll put that in there as much as we can. But without further ado, let's kick off with the AFL. So the season has finally concluded. We have recently crowned the 2025 premiers, and that is the Brisbane Lions. They go back-to-back, defeating the Cats, absolutely destroying them in the end of the third and the whole fourth quarter. It was a tie at half-time, and I read something that it was the first ever tie since the early 1900s. So there hasn't been a draw at half-time since the early 1900s. So at that point, we all were expecting a spectacle, a close game, finally, because the last 2 grand finals, the last 4 of the 5 grand finals, I'm talking about Collingwood when they won by 4 points, have been quite dead and have been blowouts. And this one was no different, unfortunately. Brisbane just kicked away, blew out Geelong, and yeah, they win another grand final. 3 grand finals in a row they've made it to, and they've won 2 in a row, so they're repeating their early 2000s with this current era at the moment. And yeah, they lost to Geelong at the start, and you thought Geelong were going to be the easy favourite here, but Brisbane came around and just completely played different to what they did the first time. And yeah, they're looking to be unbelievable moving forward, and looking like they're going to be picking up some more players with Draper and Allen about to be recruited and joining the Brisbane Lions. So yeah, they're definitely not slowing down. They have a lot of young talent as well that are currently playing at the moment, and a few injuries and players that are expecting to come back next season. So it's going to be crazy. In terms of Norm Smith, Will Ashcroft gets his second Norm Smith medal in a row. Thoroughly deserved. 32 disposals, an amazing goal, especially at the end of the fourth quarter, when he hit a snap from like 45 meters off one step. Was quite incredible. And you had big games from McCluggage, especially when Ocean Mullins got off him on the tag. He scored 4 goals. You had Charlie Cameron, who decided to rock up this grand final. What a time and a game to rock up, because quite frankly, he hasn't had a good season all year, and he decided to show that up in the grand final, kicking 4 goals as well. You had Zach Bailey, who could have had 6 or 7 goals. I think he went 2 goals, 6 or 7 towards the end. And yeah, just a dominant display from the guys. Jasper Fletcher too, another father-son, another young gun as well, who hit up 29 disposals as well, and he was amazing too. And probably someone that was in the running for the Norm Smith. If it wasn't for Ashcroft, I think Fletcher was probably the next best, or even Harris Andrews, who, yeah, he's amazing as well. And as I said, they're not slowing down. They're also getting a top 10 pick this year. Another father-son's coming through the door. So yeah, Brisbane Lions are going to be there for a long time. As for Geelong, they'll just book their spot in next year for a prelim, you'd think. But yeah, shame for them to go out. They were definitely the favourites going into this grand final, and they lost, and it was their biggest loss all season. So they definitely didn't show up to the grand occasion, and yeah, so it's a shame for them. But again, at the end of the day, the best team won, I think, on the day, and yeah, Brisbane were extremely dominant. So credit to Brisbane. Makes me feel a lot worse given that Collingwood were one game away from potentially winning a grand final. I did say before that if we did go through, Geelong would smack us, but the way that Geelong performed in this grand final, we may have had a chance. So at least we lost to the premiers, is what I would say, and it makes us feel a lot better there. But yeah, that concludes the end of the AFL season. I am going to miss footy. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do on my Thursday and Friday nights before bed. It's the only sport that I watch that is actually at an appropriate time at night, whereas my other sports are obviously during the day and in the middle of the night. So going to miss footy, but we'll be continuing to talk about AFL as the trade season ramps up. A lot of players are looking to go out the door. A lot of players requesting trades. You've seen the Petrarca situation. He's travelled to Adelaide. He might be joining the Crows soon. So we'll keep tabs on trade season. And I suspect that there's going to be a lot of movement in the AFL trade period. So just look out for that, because I think that it's gonna be a very interesting year. You have Zach Merritt as well that potentially could be requesting a trade and gone to Hawthorn. So we'll be marking up all that in the calendar for sure. But yeah, that's your footy news. Brisbane are premiers. We spoke about Matt Rowell before, so we know about that. And yeah, until then, we'll just come back with some latest footy updates. So we're moving on to the NFL, and before we sort of break down all the games and the stuff that happened week 4 of the NFL, yes, we're already at week 4. It's pretty much just under a quarter through the season, and it feels like it's flew fast. But just have to make some sort of unfortunate chats and announcements on the 2 injuries that occurred this week. The first one being Malik Nabers tearing his ACL. Such a big blow for the New York Giants and a big blow for the league overall. He brought some excitement into the New York Giants. He was obviously a second-year receiver, a rookie receiver last year who had an Odell Beckham-like season in his first career back when he was at the Giants, and was looking amazing. And yeah, it's just sad to see a player like him go down with an ACL. And I think New York Giants just can't catch a break with star players. They always seem to get injured. So prayers up for him. Hopefully he can make a speedy recovery, because all the news before that was about Jackson Dart, who is their rookie quarterback. He got the nod to start. He got his first win, and people were really excited to see him and Nabers kind of combo together as a 1-2 punch and really make New York buzzing again, because yeah, their franchises in football can't seem to do anything really well at the moment. And if we're looking at the other New York team, they're just simply shit. Like they just don't win nothing. They haven't made the playoffs in 20 odd years, and they continue to be irrelevant as always. 0-4 at the moment, just trash. So that Dart and Nabers will have to wait for next year. Hopefully they can pick up where they left off. And Dart is probably going to be the person that's getting all the attention, and he looked good in his first game. They got the win for the first time in a long time, so that's always a positive sign. And yeah, Jackson Dart getting that nice rushing touchdown as well. So, well, who knows? Hopefully the Giants can do some good things with Jackson Dart, but they're definitely going to miss Malik Nabers out there. So that's definitely a big loss for them. And the other injury blow was to Tyreke Hill. Massive wide receiver for plenty of years. You probably would have remembered his name at Kansas City when he was teaming up with Mahomes. He's at the Dolphins now. It was his 3rd year there, I think. And if you've seen the injury, it's fucking brutal. And don't watch it if you're someone that's not like really accustomed to that stuff, because his leg literally went the other way. It was gruesome injury, a really, really bad, sickening injury, and you don't wish that on anyone. And it just gave me vibes of Gordon Hayward back on the opening NBA game, and even as most recently Taylor Hendricks for the Utah Jazz. Those leg breaks are just, they're not good to look at. And Tyreke Hill was a subject of that, unfortunately. It looks like he's had multiple ligament damages. Obviously his ACL's gone, and multiple other injuries. And the way it's looking, especially at his age of 30, it will be very hard for him to come back. And I'm really hoping he can prove me wrong and come back stronger and better than ever to close out his career, because he's an awesome wide receiver. They call him the cheetah. Obviously hasn't been that good as of late, but still someone that well, you don't wish that on anyone, but someone that you want to see do well as well because of the history of the Kansas City Chiefs. And yeah, just a big blow. Like for the Dolphins, it's going to be a massive loss for them, losing him, and prayers up for him for sure. And I think, I don't know for Tyreke Hill's sake, but I can definitely talk about Nabers' injury and put it on the fucking fake grass that they've got, like the artificial turf on professional NFL games. Like, they should not have turf. Like, that they have enough money to be able to maintain beautiful grass, and they generate that much profit that they can maintain that, but they opt in for artificial turf fields. And if you've played on artificial turf, you would know the damage it does for your knees without even twisting and turning. And to receive brutal bumps, run in different types of directions, God knows how you land, given that there's always a defender on you. It's bloody dangerous to play on turf. So I don't understand why they do it, and it's gotta go. Like, New York Giants' turf is really bad historically compared to other fields, but turf overall just needs to not be in the NFL. I think they can bloody pay for grass and make a pitch that's more safe and more injury preventable for the athletes. And I think that that's something that they really need to look into, because there's been too many of these injuries. You don't hear much about them because it's normally low profile players, unfortunately, but you're seeing it with now high profile players. Again, I'm not sure if Miami Dolphins play on turf or not. I don't have the knowledge for that. But even if they do, I know the New York Giants definitely do. It needs to go. It needs to go for sure. So I'm praying for those two. I'm really hoping they can get back stronger and better than ever, because Nabers is someone that's really exciting. And obviously Tyreke Hill's the cheetah. And even if you don't know NFL, you know Tyreke Hill. You know that name. You've heard it before. So yeah, hopefully they recover strong and bounce back. But moving on, in terms of big results, the Raiders, Ashton Jeanty's arrived. They may have lost to the Bears, but Ashton Jeanty has arrived. Top 10 running back pick, unbelievable player. For someone to get picked up as a running back in the top 10 in the draft, shows to me that that person is amazing and isn't skeptical. He had an unbelievable college year. He had 3 touchdowns and he ran for over 100 and so yards. Incredible from Ashton Jeanty. They did get the loss, unfortunately. The Bears get 2 in a row, which is good for their sort of season, but they're in a really tough conference, so I don't see them making the playoffs. The bad news for Raiders was that Geno Smith just kept turning the ball over, unfortunately, so that kind of cost them the ability to get a dub here. But some good signs for the Raiders. Like, they got Bowers in his second year. I'm really a big fan of Jacoby Myers as a wide receiver, and I really love Ashton Jeanty. So this is the game where he finally arrived and showed up and showed who Ashton Jeanty is and made it. They did lose, but again, credit to the Bears for getting a victory there. We had the Lions making quick work of the Cleveland Browns, smacking them up. The Lions are just amazing to watch. They're so fun. They have so many weapons on the offensive side. You've got Gibbs, St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Montgomery, Laporta, and obviously their quarterback Jared Goff. They're just incredible. And yeah, they smack up the Cleveland Browns, who at the moment look to potentially be getting a new quarterback. A lot of people are split between the other quarterback they've got, can't recall his name, and Shedeur Sanders. Flacco is currently the quarterback that he's starting, but I think next week we're going to see one of those two start. And can Sanders make a start in an NFL game and make his debut? We'll have to wait and see, but there's definitely some issues going on in the quarterback room for the Browns, and issues overall. 3 miles, if you're asking me, because I think he's just too good for him at the moment, and he's struggling to get any wins, and yeah, they're struggling altogether as well. We also had the massive shootout, a draw, 40-40. Green Bay taking on the Dallas Cowboys. It went to overtime, but they couldn't settle it in overtime. 2 field goals each. And I would say a game-saving tackle from Micah Parsons, who did play for the Dallas Cowboys, funny enough, saving the game and salvaging a draw, which was probably, in the landscape of things, a good thing for Green Bay. Shout out to George Pickens, my boy. He had a killer game. He had the almost game-winning touchdown with 1:30 to go. Without CeeDee Lamb, he definitely stepped up as wide receiver number 1. for the Cowboys and showed out on TV. So it's great to see George Pickens hooping again. He obviously cost me in fantasy last year, but I'm a big fan of George Pickens, and I love what he does. So hopefully that's just onwards and upwards for him. He looks like he's found a home at the Cowboys, and yeah, he did really well. So that's awesome to see. In other news, we talk about the Jets. They got smacked up, so they need to bring them up. We had the Broncos making quick work of the Bengals, where Jamar Chase, without Joe Burrow, is struggling. Less than 30 receiving yards this game. And yeah, without that connection with Joe Burrow, I think Jamar Chase is going to struggle. And I did say that it was going to be a big loss for people that have him in fantasy. And yeah, Jamar Chase struggling at the moment. We also had the Bills making quick work of the New Orleans Saints. But I will say, the Saints, they put up a fight. And that's all I ask for my team in New Orleans, putting up a fight and showing that they can compete. And Spencer Rattler looks good. I'm happy with Spencer Rattler at the moment. He obviously needs the pieces around him. That's not good enough. But Spencer Rattler has proven to be a pretty decent starting quarterback for us at the moment. So I'm happy with him. I think he's doing well. But overall, the team's just in shambles. We're 0-4. Maybe, unfortunately, although Spencer Rattler is good, it might need a franchise quarterback to really change this franchise around. So yeah, they get another loss. The Buffalo Bills are 4-0. They're flying. So they'll continue to be I think, Super Bowl favorite for me when it comes to the AFC. And another potential Super Bowl favorite, we had the Philly Eagles, who potentially could go back-to-back. They smacked up the Buccaneers. Two teams that were 3-0. Playing on Buccaneers' floor, you thought that they were going to have a chance to win this game, but Philly just proven too good once again. They're also an amazing team. I don't know how the Giants just let go of Saquon Barkley like that to their division rivals. It's amazing to me. But they get the victory there. We also had, as I try to think about, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, we had the Ravens losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. So once again, the Ravens, when the big game comes up, they're unable to step up. Like, we think the Ravens are good. We think they're going to compete. We think they can make a deep push. But every time they come up against a big team like the Bills in the first round, where they lost on a field goal, maybe unlucky, and a chance to beat Kansas City, who looked like they were regressing, they couldn't get it done. And they got smacked up by them. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Ravens. I don't know whether they're just pretenders or they're just struggling with big teams, because yeah, they take a loss here where you think that they should have won to make a big statement in the AFC. So yeah, the Ravens, don't really know about them much. Obviously, TJ, shout out to him again, picked them to go far, but doesn't seem like they're doing too good at the moment. We had the Colts taking their first loss, I think, to the as well. Puku Nakua, what a player. Got him in my fantasy. 36 fantasy points. He was unbelievable. So that's always good to see on my side. But that pretty much wraps up all like the main sort of results there as well. But we're looking forward to another week of football. Now, the playoffs are going to come soon. Like, by the time January hits, which is in like 3 months from now, we're going to be watching NFL playoffs, and eventually we'll see the Super Bowl. So enjoy the NFL season. For those that are not into it, I suggest you get into it, because I think NFL is a fantastic sport. If obviously Australian football is not on, you can get on American football for the next best thing. I think if you do like the sport with a, I guess, irregular shaped ball, for lack of a better term.
Just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Huddle Within podcast. If you do enjoy episodes like this, or this episode specifically, be sure to leave a comment and a 5-star review wherever you do get your podcasts. It'd be also great if you could like and subscribe wherever you do get your podcasts, so we can continue to show this out to people that see sports exactly the way that you do. But without further ado, let's get straight back into it.
All right, we're going on to the Premier League. This week was a very interesting week, disappointing week for myself, but an equally disappointing win for Liverpool fans as well, which is always great to see. It's always good to see Liverpool take a loss there. But we'll start with the sour news first. Manchester United 3-1 losers to Bournemouth, and far out, man. when you think this team gives you a chance, they beat Chelsea, you think the season's going to kick off and we might do something, we might get 2 in a row. We just find a way to just ruin it. And once again, we did. 3-1. It's not good enough. And I'm going to let my frustrations out for this because there's a lot of things that I need to address. The first thing being that the defense and the goals that we copped, absolutely deplorable, inexcusable goals. The second one pissed me off a lot because I just saw Luke Shaw let his man run to the back post, albeit Binder should have done better with that parry. But just seeing Luke Shaw's lackluster defending has frustrated me to a point where he's just got to go. Like, Luke Shaw, get out of the club. He's been here for so long, he's just sacked. He hasn't been fit for so long. He's always injured. He happens to be available and ready for England, but when it comes to Manchester United, always injured. He comes in, albeit good on him for being fit, but has been at fault for every single goal we've copped this season at a loss. 2 weeks ago, and excuse me for my cough, 2 weeks ago, he got sent for a hot dog against Doku. And then this week, he's just letting people run past him. Like, I don't understand. I think he was at fault for the header on Chalobah as well. I'm pretty sure he was, like, right around that, too. Like, he should not be playing left centre-back. He should not be there. And it's just frustrating to see it because it's like, we're copping goals because of players that have been at the club for so long and have been shit for so long. And I'm sick of defending him. So, he's got to get out of the team. Like, you've got players like Heaven, who, he may be young, and it's really hard to get into a Man United side right now, especially given that it's derailed of confidence and he's young and he could be exposed. But at least that's a player that I feel that will be hungry and want to play for the badge and want to prove himself. And right now, we're not doing well on that left centre-back front. So why not give Heaven a go? That would be an option. One question I have, and we'll get to the coach. Why did Euro not start this game? He's clearly got a lot of pace. And we've played with 3 of our slowest centre-backs. Well, Luke Shaw doesn't even count as a centre-back. Maguire and DeLit. If you're going to play Maguire, you have to play him on the left side as a centre-back. And I just don't think he's good enough on the right side. Especially when you don't have someone like Euro to cover him. It just didn't make sense that Euro didn't play the game. And that's probably the only thing I can criticise about Amarim. Other than that, I can't sit there and say that the formation is a problem. People can attest to that and make their points, whatever that is. But Amarim, and his formation especially, but Amarim is definitely not the problem. Yes, United fans are getting restless, are getting tired of the results. I understand that. But mate, we are shit. That's something that people need to understand. We are shit. And it doesn't matter which manager comes in, whether it's Amarim staying in, whether it's a new manager coming, we're going to be shit with this playing group. And we're also going to be equally, or if not more shit, with this fucking ownership group. The Glazers suck. They are shit. We need them out. It's a trickle effect from the top to the bottom that infects the club and makes the club what it is. It always starts from the top. And the top is the main issue at Manchester United. We can change the coach 6, 7, 8 times, but the problem at the core is the foundations, and they start from the bloody top. And that starts from the Glazers. Ionos haven't done a good job. They've recruited a little bit better. They've cut costs, which have made the Glazers' pockets bigger. But in terms of results, they haven't improved them. And you can sit and blame the manager, but at the end of the day, which manager has come into Manchester United and given us results? You tell me. Besides Fergie, who else? Yes, we won a trophy here and there. Yes, we finished second. But at the end of the day, we never won a fucking league. And that's what people want us to achieve. Because winning trophies is not good enough for us. Or minor trophies, apparently. But that's where we are right now as a club. The squad is terrible. All the dead weight's not gone yet. There is few that are gone, but they're not all gone. Amarim needs time. Any manager that comes into this job needs time. There's a lot of pressure when it comes to becoming a Manchester United manager. There's a lot of things to address and a lot of things to sort. And I think that if we focus too much on his system and wanting him to be sacked, we're never going to get anywhere as a club. Yes, Glasner's available, and I do like Glasner personally, but can we really sit there and say that Glasner is going to solve all our problems? You can say that on paper, yes, because everyone gets excited when a new manager comes in. We all have that feel-good feeling that everything's going to change. But at the end of the day, Amram was doing so much good stuff at Sporting. Came here, and what's he been doing? Is that a problem with him? Or is that a problem with the club and the players that he's got? Can Glasner really change the shit that we have at the moment? We've got players like Luke Shaw, like I said, that have been there for 5 seasons. We've got Dallo, who just has been atrociously poor. Casemiro, who's on his last legs, be it he didn't play this game, but Casemiro on his last legs. A dysfunctional team, a midfield that just lacks legs, lacks heart, and Bruno playing as an 8 is a big problem, and he's got to get off penalties. I stick up for Bruno so much, but if you're missing penalties like that, you just got to get off them. And you can blame the delay, you can make all these excuses, but at the end of the day, you need to convert your penalties, and that was something that really costed us in that moment. And yeah, it's a big one. Bayern there, he played all right, but this is my issue when we go into the transfer market and we have someone like Emi Martinez available. Now, if we signed Emi Martinez, do you think that he is going to be on the bench? No bloody chance. So why are they doing this with Le Mans? If the goalkeeper issue was a problem, why would you bring in another goalkeeper when you're confident in buying there? And when I'm being confident, that means by air quotes and based on them starting him. Doesn't make sense to me. If Martinez was the target, why would we not have got him? Because if we did, he would start. That's something that confuses me. And I'm not saying Le Mans is going to be a bad keeper, and I'm not saying that eventually he won't start, but it concerns me that you go out and sign a goalkeeper, which is something that we did need because Anana was just atrocious, and we're not playing him. Yeah, I just don't understand that. Don't know if that's a managerial decision. I don't know if that's a technical decision. Someone that signed him from the football director team and he ended up not being for. It's all these things that sort of, astound me with this club. And yeah, we're a fucking mess at the moment, I will say. And it's not looking good because we're coming up against a Sunderland team who get another victory away from home against Nottingham Forest. And they're in the top 4. They're not like another new promoted side. Just because they've just promoted doesn't mean they're not good. They are playing better than us. They are killing it. They are getting really good results. And they're exciting. They're fun. And it's great to see Sunderland back in the Premier League. Let's be honest. We know back in the days of Sunderland till I die, where we saw the double relegation, although it was quite funny, it's great to see them back. They're a very historic club, and it's going to be really cool to see them coming across Newcastle. But we're versing them next week. Albeit it's at Old Trafford. But are we confident that we're going to get a victory? Probably not. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But again, that concludes my United rant. But in other news, and in good news, we did see Liverpool get a loss. And I spoke to a lot of Liverpool fans, and they all basically said that they should have lost by 4 or 5 goals. Especially by halftime, they should have been 4 or 5 down. And justice was served as the game stayed 1-0 with Crystal Palace, unfortunately not taking their opportunities. And Alisson, who just was cracked in goals. That's why he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Let's be honest. He had a killing game, especially in that first half. Liverpool, the club they are, when they get better, started to take control of the game, and they found a point. And you're thinking, oh, surely not. They're not going to get a fucking another 90th minute here and win this game. And it really felt like that could have happened. But no, the reverse Liverpool happened. Crystal Palace get a 96-minute winner because of Eddie Nketiah. Great chest touch, volley finish into the middle of the net to salvage 3 points for Palace, which was very much well-deserved. They were all over Liverpool. And what a story Palace has been. Glasner's doing a great job there. I can see why United are linked to him. They're killing it, and they're a big favourite to win the Conference League. I'm confident that they can make a deep run into there and hopefully win that trophy too. Losing Eze was big. They lost Elise the year before, but they're killing it. And I've got to give a shout out to one player, Adam Wharton. What a footballer. I would love to get my hands on him as a United player, and I think he's going to be a very important piece for England's World Cup hopes, I presume. If they do qualify, they will. But yeah, Adam Wharton, what a player. He's busy, strong left foot, solid around the park, and yeah, he had a really good game. Mateta as well, obviously having another killer game as well. He absolutely gave Kanate a problem, and I think Kanate's having nightmares about Mateta right now because he was poor. And for someone that's claimed to be a top 5 centre-back in the Premier League by some people, we won't name their names, showed that he wasn't that quality because he had a shocker, I'll be honest. Maybe it's a one-off, but there's a reason why Liverpool really wanted to sign Mark Gay, and I think it's because of the fact that, one, maybe Konate's leaving, but two, they're really weak in that second centre-back position, and Gay would definitely start there with Virgil van Dijk. So it might be as soon as January that they pop in a bid because maybe Crystal Palace just fold and take the money. But if I'm Palace right now, I'm not selling him, and I'm keeping this team rolling because I'm thinking that they're gonna make a big conference run, and if I'm a Palace fan, I'm thinking we're gonna win a European trophy, and we want to keep our players there. So yeah, that's the Palace and Liverpool talk. Palace looking strong, and I think Liverpool will still win the league. Despite this result, they'll find a way to sort of figure this all out and get all their star players together. Obviously, Wirtz 008, so another game without a goal contribution, which is starting to become quite concerning. Obviously, we do think Wirtz will become a good player, but when it starts getting up and up, you can see the confidence start going down and down. So that's going to be something to watch out for. But he had another pretty piss poor game, and another player that had a piss poor game was Isak. Was his second start, so you're going to probably give him the benefit of the doubt. But they did miss Tyreke, and how stupid does that yellow card look for taking his celebration of, his second yellow, to be suspended for this game? Not the best decision from him. They could have used him for this game. He was in top form as well, scoring goals for them and giving them a bit of a relentless outlook. And yeah, they don't have him. So yeah, I don't know. He might be back next week to start. Who knows? But they definitely did miss him. And yeah, Salah didn't do anything either. So yeah, big concerns for Liverpool. But in terms of the performance-wise, they haven't been good all season. But they're first. And if they're first without playing well, then that's big concerns for the league as well. We also had Chelsea crashing out with another red card. And Danny Welbeck looking like prime Welbeck from United with 2 goals. He had a great performance, and I really like that Minte. Minte is just such a really good player, and he just had another good game. And that's someone that I would love to have in my team as well. And I think he'll definitely make a big move next season. But yeah, Brighton, they get the victory. They looking solid as always, and Chelsea look like they're struggling, dropping more points again. So yeah, without Cole Palmer, it seems as though that they can't really do anything. So it's just interesting when your best player has injury problems, and it's a one-man show there at Chelsea, despite all the players they've signed. But yeah, we'll see what happens to them. Manchester City and Arsenal do get victories, so they close the gap with Liverpool. We had Haaland scoring 2 goals and smashing Burnley 5-1. It's crazy to see how good Jeremy Doku was playing, because he was someone that I thought wasn't playing good, and he's turned it around this season. He's having a really killer year. And Arsenal score another set-piece goal from Gabriel in the 90th minute to get a must-win game, or get must-win points. 3 points on the board against Newcastle away from home, who had a decent performance. And Arsenal managed to get the victory there, which is good for them, and they'll kick off their title run, only being sort of 2 points away from Liverpool too. So yeah, big for Arsenal. Aston Villa get off the board as well, which is great for them. And Wolves were really unlucky to not get their first win of the season, drawing to Tottenham in the 90th minute. Polini has scored, took his shirt off, and then in the press conference said he wasn't happy with the victory. So don't really understand what was going on in his head. Maybe he was happy that he salvaged the point, but when he realised that it was just a point, he wasn't happy with it. So interesting there. And then Everton and West Ham drew 1-1 today. So that pretty much wraps up the Premier League. I know I missed a few games, but those are the ones that were probably the most important for this round there. In other news, and obviously I'm not an NRL fan, but I had to address that the NRL final is this week, and my team, the mighty Melbourne Storm, are into the NFL Grand Final. Now, obviously, Storm is my team by default, given that they're the only Melbourne team in the NRL, but they make quick work of the Sharks to punch their ticket into the NRL Grand Final, and they'll be taking on the Brisbane Broncos. So Brisbane have another chance to win another premiership. Can they take off the AFL and the NRL? Brisbane fans will be really excited for that. But Melbourne Storm are hoping to hopefully get the victory. They are the favourites going in. I'm just glad that Penrith are not in there. Don't really know much about NFL again, but NRL, but I've always seen Penrith fighting for the title and winning them. So it's great to see a new change and Penrith not being there. And I think that's Melbourne Storm's bogey team from history, but I think I will watch the final. I'll try to get into NRL and see this grand final and hoping that the Melbourne Storm do get the win for the sake of us Victorians down here, taking a title away from a sport that is not even our number one sport here and is a number one sport in New South Wales and Queensland is always good. So looking out and extremely keen for that one. And just to wrap up with some quick WWE talk, again, Crown Jewel in Perth is happening in 2 weeks. Extremely excited about that. Can't go because I am running the Melbourne Marathon, which my training has been pretty decent, but I don't know how I'm going to feel come marathon. I've had a little bit of knee inflammation, but hopefully that can go away before the run. But really excited to do that, of course. Big achievement if I do tick that off the bucket list, and it's going to be a very exciting event. Feel my mates are doing it too, which is always a plus. But not being able to watch Crown Jewel is a bit sad. I was really excited to go to Perth and watch a PLE, a Monday Night Raw and a SmackDown, but they're leading up to that. We'll talk about that more as it previews next week, as will be the episode before Crown Jewel. But in other news, I did go to my first ever indie wrestling show. And if you're not a wrestling fan, and I can understand that, it's not everyone's cup of tea, one thing you need to do in your life is go to a wrestling local show. They have the promotion called Melbourne Renegades, which is the one that I went and watched, and it was like a violent themed sort of event where you had extreme rules, you had ladders, you had table spots, you had people going through like nail boards. It was honestly incredible. And the best part about it is like, this is happening literally 2 meters away from me because not many people go to these events. It still packs out, which is pretty cool. And yeah, like watching that was amazing. I have a referee and a friend that is a wrestler and a referee on the show, so it was good to see them as well. But it's something that I really want to get into more, and that is the local wrestling scene here in Melbourne, Australia. And yeah, just following the storylines. I did watch that PLE and I ended up just catching up on the storylines because of it, and am keen to sort of talk about it more going forward. The next event is actually happening in October. This soon. It's like October 14th or something in MCW. So that's Melbourne City Wrestling. That's the other promotion. But the next Renegades promotion is happening on the November 9th. And I'll be going to that. There is going to be some few interesting matches. There will be a former WWE superstar in Indy Hartwell, who's currently the women's Renegades champion. She's going to be teaming up with Aisha against another tag team. Caveman Ugg is going to be fighting in a fatal 4-way. You got to get these characters down pat. The current champion is the Aspirationalist. It's going to be a fatal 4-way for the title. We also got a 3-way tag team match for tables, ladders, and chairs. Not for the championship, but my friend will be fighting in that match. So I'm extremely excited for that. It's going to be brutal for the spots that he's going to take in that tables, ladders, and chairs. And mind you, the match that I watched for him last week in this indie show, after the match, when it broke up, there was a spot where one of the guys jumped on top of the ladder, literally flipped off and landed on all of them. And I just saw 2 boots land straight into the skull of the wrestler who's bowled, and you can see the bruising on the top. But like it's fake, obviously not fake, but it's entertainment, it's scripted. But at the end of the day, the spots and the brutality is real. You take bumps, you take real hits, and that alone is something that's credible. And again, I'm going on a rant about it, but you really need to go and see a wrestling show, and I'm actually keen to put out some more content with that. So going to be diving into that potentially moving forward with house wrestling content as I get more familiar with the wrestlers and the storyline and what's going on there. I personally didn't know about the Melbourne wrestling scene, and it's quite a spectacle, to be honest. It's obviously not to the production levels of WWE, but it's definitely something that is worth a watch in your lifetime, especially in person. So recommend you to go out there and watch a house wrestling show. Again, Renegades of Wrestling. Check them out on Instagram. Melbourne City Wrestling as well. MCW is another big promotion. Also recommend to check them out. They've got a show on the 14th of October, and obviously the Renegades of Wrestling have it on the 9th. So plenty of shows to come moving forward. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up this week's episode of the Huddle Within podcast. Again, I had to do a rerun of this because the first run just stopped working. And you can see that the camera, if you're watching the video, is reversed. I'm actually using a new recording software that is more offline. The one that I was using before was an online recording system. This is more offline. It's more seamless. It's just a lot easier to just navigate. And hopefully we don't run into any more lag issues moving forward. Fingers crossed, but you never know in the podcasting online landscape. But again, if you did like this episode, 5 stars would be greatly appreciated. And feel free to check out the archives of other episodes. And I'll be back with you guys next week to break down the latest sporting news for the week as well. So it's been your boy Daniel. You've been listening to the Huddle Within, and I'll catch you next week. Cheers.
So that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Huddle Within podcast. I appreciate you for tuning in and being part of this community where we go beyond the game and into what really matters. If this episode resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who sees sports just the way that we do. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on my social medias, which will be linked below. Send in your thoughts and even be part of a future episode. Until next time, keep that passion alive, stay in the huddle, and remember, it's always deeper than the game. Cheers.